I'm Jen from That Mama Book Nook, and welcome back to my channel. I was so convinced after my technical difficulties were fixed for once and for all, hopefully, that I was still going to squeeze in my March TBR, even though it was super late, just because I like the idea of my social media being a nice snapshot of what I was planning to read, what I actually read, a little almost journal, so to speak. But then I got to thinking, and I kind of realized, you know what, no, I need to stop trying to play catch up because I'm just likely never going to get there, or at least not without some stress about it. And this is just for fun. So I'm tired of feeling behind. I'm tired of not putting out the content at the time that I want to be putting it out. So I'm going to not do my March TBR, and I'm just going to start where I am. And we are just about in April at the time that I am filming this. So April TBR it is. I feel like my April TBR is not as bad as usual. Still busy, but a little bit more doable. As always, when I do my TBRs, I will share the books that I'm reading, a short synopsis of each of the books, how I am obtaining these books, why I'm reading them this month, and if they happen to fulfill any of my annual challenge prompts, I'll mention which one of those as well. The challenges that I'm participating in this year, which I will link down below, any of the ones that I mentioned: the 52 book club prompt, the diverse reading challenge, 25 in 25 hosted by Bree from Four Paws in a Book, the Pop Sugar reading challenge, the Books and Bulldogs reading challenge, the Mass Center for the Book reading challenge, a Books Are Life reading challenge, 12 books in 12 months recommended by 12 friends reading challenge, and lastly both of the buzzword challenge prompts hosted by Kayla from Books and Lala. I obviously really enjoy a good reading challenge. I try to not add books to my TBR just to fulfill a challenge prompt, but some months that isn't possible. As you'll see, this month I did have to add 2 just to fulfill some prompts. Towards the end of the year, I do have a feeling that this will get more difficult to make the limited prompts fit what I'm reading, but we'll just see about that when I get there. I also do usually participate in some monthly bingos on Instagram and some, readathons and things like that, but I won't necessarily have that planned out as of now, so that will just kind of be as I go. I won't talk about those in this video, but definitely always up for a reading challenge. So the first book that I have on my April TBR is a book that I'm reading with my local book club, and that is Rabbit Hole by Kate Brody. I am going to be grabbing this one from Libby. This will fulfill a 52 book club prompt of, I think it was blue, which is a fun prompt, and the buzzword title prompt for April of an animal in the title, so rabbit. This is about Theodora Angstrom, also known as Teddy, whose sister Angie went missing 10 years ago. Her case remains unsolved. Now Teddy's father, Mark, has sadly passed away from his own hands. But upon his death, it turns out that Mark has been active in a Reddit community obsessed with Angie's case. And Teddy can't help but fall down that same rabbit hole. Teddy's investigation kind of gets her in trouble right away with those around her. Teddy also is becoming obsessed with a man named Mickey, who is a charming amateur sleuth eager to help her solve this case. The reviews for this one are not great, but I always try to go in open-minded. You never know. The next book on my April TBR is Broken Country by Claire Leslie Hall. I am reading this with the Reading Through book club on Instagram, and I think I'm going to grab this one as a Book of the Month add-on after I see the April Book of the Month selections. It was an add-on from last month, but they usually hang around for a little bit, so that is definitely an option. In contrast to Rabbit Hole, the reviews for this one are excellent. excellent. I've been hearing nothing but good things about this one. It only came out on March 4th, which is why it's been kind of difficult to grab in a different way. This is a historical fiction about Beth and her husband Frank, who are happily married as long as the past stays buried. When Beth's brother-in-law shoots a dog that is going after their sheep, Beth doesn't immediately realize that this action is going to change the course of their lives. The dog happened to belong to Gabriel Wolfe, who was Beth's teenage love interest, who also broke her heart years ago. Gabriel has returned to the village with his young son Leo, who reminds Beth of her own son who died in a tragic accident. As Beth is pulled back into Gabriel's life, the dangerous past resurfaces, this time with deadly consequences. This sounds like a historical fiction with twisty thriller vibes. I'm interested to see what I think, but again, I've been hearing great things. The Novel Network is a little personal book club that a few friends from Instagram and I have started just this past January. We've read a couple books and chat about them just for fun. We talked about The Paradise Problem in March, and we just decided that for April we are going to do Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. I already had this one on my shelf. I won it in a giveaway a little while ago, so that's always a win. Unintentionally, Winifred Wynne McNulty is who this is about. She has always been wildly independent, not one to be coddled for her limb differences. Wynne has spent most of her life trying to prove that she can do it all on her own, and with minor adjustments, she's doing just fine. That is until she has a one-night stand with incredibly charming Beau, a perfect stranger, and the one night changes everything. Beau is surprisingly elated to step up to the plate, but Wynne finds herself a little bit unsure if she can do it all on her own or she needs a helping hand. Together, Wynne and Beau decide to become friends first, but they should both know by now that life rarely goes according to plan. I have heard a lot of good things about this one. It's been out for a little while now, despite there being one of the less popular tropes in it, so I am interested to see if I will also enjoy. There are two books on my April TBR that also were part of my March TBR. On my TBR videos, I don't usually talk about repeats, but since I didn't do a March TBR video, I am going to talk about those two books in this one. The first one is First Time Caller by B.K. Borison, which I am reading with the Swoony Readers. I grabbed this one from my March Book of the Month. I started this one already. I will probably end up finishing this one in early April. It will probably be one of my first April reads. This is about Aiden Valentine, who is the host of Baltimore's Romance Hotline. But he has fallen out of love with love, so that is causing both some professional and personal issues. When a young girl calls into the station asking for dating advice for her mom, the interview goes viral and the radio program is thrust back into the limelight. Lucy Stone is that single mom who thought her life was fine. She has a good job, a great family, but now that all of Baltimore is scrutinizing her love life, she starts to wonder if she's really as happy as she thought. Everyone wants Lucy to find that happy ending, including Aiden. But when sparks start to fly from behind the scenes, Lucy has to make a call between the radio-sponsored romance or the man in the headphones next to her. I'm really liking this one so far. Aiden is that grumpy male main character we love, and the radio show setting is really fun. I'm only a few chapters in, so they haven't really started connecting yet, but I can't wait for the romance to really start. Another book I will be reading in April is Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson. I will be reading this with the Thrills and Chills book club, and this is available on Hoopla. Poe Webb is the host of a true crime podcast where she anonymously invites her guests to confess crimes they've committed to the audience. She can't guarantee that the police won't end up coming after her guests after they spill their secrets, but her show grants simultaneously anonymity and instant fame, a combination that's really hard to resist. When a strange and oddly familiar man appears on the show, Poe is forced to take a second look because he claims to be her mother's murderer from years ago. However, her mother's murderer is dead, and Poe knows this because she's the one who unalived him. Apparently we're on a thriller kick in April, which I still need to post my Help Me Find a 5-Star Thriller vlog, which I finished reading some books from that at the end of last year, and I still want to share that this year, and you guys will see where I'm at with that. I have kept it on the down low for now. It's just really hard for me to find a thriller that I think is worthy of 5 stars. Plenty of 4 stars. I definitely enjoy them. I don't want people to come after me and saying, well, like, stop reading them if you don't enjoy them. I do enjoy them, just none of them have wowed me to that extent. But I'm in some mystery thriller book clubs anyway, and some other book clubs that are just more generic happened to pick thrillers this month as well. So here we are. The next book is The Inheritance by Trisha Saklecha. I'm reading this with the Literally Dead book club, and I'm hoping to grab this one from my library. This will fulfill a Pop Sugar challenge prompt of set around a body of water, because this is about the Agarwals who have gathered on a private luxury island on the west coast of Scotland for a much anticipated family reunion. Raj is the patriarch and business tycoon and is about to announce to his wife and 3 children his succession plan for his multi-million-dollar Delhi-based company. Shalini is the matriarch and is so ready to have her husband to herself, finally, after years of sacrifice to the family business. Mira, the golden child, is the owner of the island and host of the reunion and on the brink of bankruptcy. Asim, the son and supposed heir to the company, is torn between the love for his wife and the feeling of duty to his family. Aisha, the youngest, is a party girl and can't pass up the opportunity to wreak havoc. And then there's Zoe, Asim's wife, whose hashtag InstaPerfect life is built on a foundation of lies. And all of them have secrets they would die to protect. Then the other day, The Thrashers by Julie Soto was read now on NetGalley. So a bunch of us in the Booked with Babes book club grabbed that one, and we're going to be reading that advanced reader copy in April. It comes out on May 6th. It is a YA thriller. The Thrashers is an elite friend group of New Helvetia High. Jody Dillon was never meant to be one of them. Julian, Lucy, Paige, and the infamous Zach Thrasher are rich, sophisticated, and love attention. Jody feels out of place, but Zach's her childhood best friend, so she's in. Then Emily Mills, who desperately wanted to be a Thrasher, dies, and then whispers start about the Thrashers. Emily's journal surfaces and detectives close in. I've been wanting to read a book by Julie Soto, particularly her contemporary romances. So this is a little different, but I'm still excited to be introduced to her writing style, and people seem to be really excited about this one. Then the Always Fully Booked book club is going to be reading Abby Jimenez's new release out on April 1st, Say You'll Remember Me. I was hoping this would be on Book of the Month, but just before I filmed this, I checked and it is not, even as an add-on, so I'm not sure yet where I'm going to grab this one. This is going to be another one that's going to be pretty impossible to find from like your library or Libby, especially the way that I read, with reading multiple books at a time. So I'm not sure if I'm gonna have to buy this, or I don't know, I'm gonna keep my eye out. This will fulfill the other buzzword cover prompt of an animal on the cover, because there's a cute doggy on this one. Xavier Rush is a gorgeous veterinarian. He goes on a seemingly endless date with a woman named Samantha. Samantha is forced to admit on this date that her family is in crisis, and Any semblance of a relationship at this point feels impossible. She just wants to leave it at that and have these happy memories. Only no amount of distance or time is enough to forget that special something that they have between them. The synopsis is a little vague, and I've been hearing kind of mixed things about this one, which is surprising. I do love the other books of hers that I've read because I like an emotional, messy life romance read, which she does really well. So I'm interested to see where I fall. My last book club read this month is with the Book Baddies Book Club, and we will be reading Blood of Hercules by Jasmine Moss. This one is available on Kindle Unlimited. This is also the other book that carried over from my March TBR. I was supposed to read it last month. I did not even start this one, so I have another opportunity to read it, and I feel fairly confident that I will get to it this month. This is a Hercules reimagining if Hercules was a woman. It also is a dark fantasy romance take on it. Hercules is a foster child who is just trying to keep her head down and focus on school while struggling to survive in a Titan-infested world where Spartans, which are immortals from 12 royal families who have godlike powers and obscene wealth, rule over all, until a blood test reveals that she is also a Spartan. She has to attend Spartan War Academy to determine if she has what it takes to be an immortal. She has some strong and scary Greek figures who are her mentors and professors, and she also has the sense that she's being stalked. I love Greek mythology. I love a Greek retelling. I can't wait to see if this one holds up. This year I have been lucky enough to be part of Gallery Books, which is an imprint of Simon & Schuster's influencer program. They have gifted me several books over the past few months, for which I am so grateful. I am really excited to read all of them, and I would like to prioritize some of them this month as well. The first one is The Talent by Daniel Daddario. As Hollywood prepares for its most glamorous evening, 5 actresses compete to see who will win the top prize. Adria is dignified and a highly regarded grand dame of the movie industry, and she is intent on cementing her legacy as one of the greatest thespians of all time, even as the younger generations creep up behind her. Biddy must keep a nervous breakdown and an increasingly debilitating alcohol addiction at bay as she searches for genuine closeness in an unforgiving landscape. Contessa, a former child star, is determined to make the world and her leading man take her seriously. Davina attempts to find her footing in superficial Los Angeles, a far cry from her roots as a serious London stage actress. And Jenny, always the underdog to her rival Adria, sees this award season as her personal redemption, a chance to atone for past mistakes and make up for missed opportunities. And while they work to push their careers forward and maintain the public's goodwill, all 5 are forced to confront truths about themselves. The Trouble with Anna by Rachel Griffiths is another gifted book. This is a historical fiction that has been compared to giving Bridgerton vibes. Anna didn't intend to ride in a high-stakes horse race or start a betting ring. She certainly didn't mean to find herself in so many darkened corners with Lord Julian Ramsay, quarreling and kissing. But when her grandfather's strange will stipulates that Anna must marry or she'll be left broke, there's nothing she won't do to win her fight for independence. Even go head-to-head with Lord Ramsay with her heart as the prize. The next one I'm really excited about, and that is The Women on Platform 2 by Laura Anthony. I was gifted this. This will also fulfill the Books and Bulldogs April prompt of being based on a true story. In Dublin, 1969, Maura has just married Dr. Christy Davenport, and they look forward to growing their family. But as her husband's vicious temper emerges, Maura worries that her home might never be safe for a child. Meanwhile, her close friend Bernie, a mother of 3, learns the devastating news that if she conceives again, the complications could be fatal. Then fast forward to Dublin 2023, a close call makes Saoirse realize that she may never want to be a mother. Little does she know that only a few decades ago, a group of women made this option possible for her, and she's about to meet one of them. The tagline for this book says, "It is a haunting, powerful story of feminine resistance and resilience that reminds us all of where we started and how far we have left to go." This is definitely a 5-star prediction for me. So good. I also received Exquisite Ruin by Adrienne May. This fulfills a 52 book club prompt of sprayed edges. These are stunning. And a pop sugar prompt of a magical creature, not dragons. And look at this sticker of this cute pug thing. Obsessed. Sidare wakes a labyrinth. Say less. I love a good deadly maze. Remembering nothing except that she is a powerful sorceress. Her only companion is a hostile immortal named Desra, beautiful, dangerous, and demonic, who bound his divine soul for power and revenge. Despite their animosity, the two have no choice but to work together to reach the center and defeat the monster who prevents their escape. But the longer they wander, the more deadly and alive the maze becomes, and the more Sidare finds herself drawn to Desra in ways she can't explain. As sorceress and demon develop a tenuous truce, the labyrinth gives Sidare glimpses of their shared history of passion and pain that make her question everything she knows. Unlocking the secrets of her past may be the only way to survive and heal their entwined fates. But as she learns more about the betrayals that brought them to the labyrinth, Sidare begins to fear that the monster in the center could be Desra, or even herself. And I have to show you also the artwork that came with this. So, should be an interesting read. Then, the last gifted book, thank you again Gallery, is Harriet Tubman Live in Concert by Bob the Drag Queen. This will fulfill a diverse reading challenge prompt of the American Civil Rights Movement and a pop sugar prompt of under 250 pages. It is 230. Harriet Tubman and 4 of the enslaved persons she led to freedom want to tell their story in a unique way by following in the footsteps of Lin-Manuel Miranda's Hamilton. Harriet wants to put on a show about her life, and she needs a songwriter to help her. She calls upon Darnell Williams, a once successful hip-hop producer who was topping the charts before being outed by a rival at the BET Awards. Darnell has no idea what to expect when he steps into the studio with Harriet, only that they have 1 week to write a Broadway caliber musical she can take on the road. Over their course of time together, they not only mount a show that will take the country by storm, but confront the horrors of both their pasts and learn to find a way to a better future. This one sounds so unique, fun, and moving, all at the same time. Amazing. Now we get to my advanced reader copies for April. The first one is not technically an advanced reader copy, but I was offered an advanced reader copy of the 3rd book in the series, and the publisher so kindly offered a copy on NetGalley for the first 2 books. So I snagged those. The 3rd book doesn't come out till a little later this year, so I'm trying to read the 1st book in April, the 2nd book in May, and the 3rd one in June, because I think it comes out in July. And the 1st book is The Foxglove King by Hannah Witten. And so since I got this on NetGalley, I have this one on my Kindle. When Laura was 13, she escaped a cult in the catacombs beneath the city of Delaire. And in the 10 years since, she's lived by one rule: don't let them find you. Easier said than done when the death magic ties her to the city. Mortem, the magic born from death, is a high-priced illicit commodity in Delaire. and Laura's job running Poisons lets her have food, shelter, and relative security. But when a run goes wrong and Laura's power is revealed, she's taken by a group of warrior monks sanctioned to use mortem and working for the Sainted King. Entire villages on the outskirts of the kingdom have been dying overnight, seemingly at random. Laura can either use her magic to find out what's happening and who in the king's court is responsible, or die. Laura is thrust into the Sainted King's glittering court, where no one can be believed and even fewer can be trusted. Laura tangles in politics, religion, and forbidden romance as she attempts to navigate a debauched and opulent society. But the life she left behind in the catacombs is catching up with her. And even as Laura makes her way through the sainted court above, they might be drawing closer than she thinks. Let's hope I like it, so then I will be pumped to read the next two. The Love Haters by Catherine Center is another advanced reader copy that I got off NetGalley, and this comes out on May 20th. Katie Vaughn has been burned by love in the past. Now she may be lighting her career on fire. She has two choices: wait to get laid off from her job as a video producer, or at her co-workers Cole's request, take a career-making gig profiling Tom Hutchison, a Coast Guard rescue swimmer in Key West. The catch? Katie's not exactly qualified. She can't swim, but fakes it that she can. Plus, Cole is Hutch's brother, and they don't get along. Next up, Paradise. But Paradise is messier than it seems, as Katie gets entangled with Hutch, the most scientifically good-looking man she's ever seen, but also a bit of a love hater. Along with his colorful Aunt Rue and his Great Dane, she gets trapped in the lie. Or two. I feel like I needed a good rom-com in here on my TBR, so I'm glad I have this one to read. Another advanced reader copy from NetGalley is Not Safe for Work by Nisha J. Tooley. This also comes out on May 20th. This will fulfill a 52 book club prompt of a title that starts with N and a diverse reading challenge prompt of a book set on an island nation. This is set in Hawaii. Engineer Trishara Malik once dreamed of being the first woman of color to smash the glass ceiling at WMC Perseal. But after years of dealing with white male privilege and blatant nepotism, she watches her promotion go to her nemesis, Rafe Gallagher, the boss's son. Teetering on the edge of burnout, Triss is stunned when she is chosen to attend WMC's corporate leadership retreat in Hawaii. It's a chance to revive her stalled career and compete for a spot in a executive training program. Plus 3 weeks in paradise. The only downside, Rafe is her co-attendee. Triss plans to avoid Rafe entirely, but when she arrives in Maui, a booking error has them stuck sharing the honeymoon suite, of course. Sure, it's not all torture. Rafe is a smoldering 11, but after years of competition, they can barely stand being in the same time zone. As they vie against each other during aptitude tests and team building exercises, Triss begins to realize that Rafe might not be the villain after all. Then the last advanced reader copy that I got from NetGalley is Aftertaste by Daria Lavelle, and also comes out on May 20th. Konstantin Duhovny is a haunted man. His father died when he was 10, and ghosts have been hovering around Kostya ever since. Kostya can't exactly see the ghosts, but he can taste their favorite foods. Flavors of food he's never tasted before will flood his mouth, a sign that a spirit is present. Kostya has kept these aftertastes a secret for most of his life, but one night he decides to act on what he's tasting, and everything changes. Kostya discovers that he can reunite people with their deceased loved ones, at least for the length of time it takes them to eat that special dish that he's prepared. He thinks his life purpose might be to offer closure for these grieving strangers, and sets out to learn all he can by entering a particularly fiery ring of hell, the New York City culinary scene. But as his kitchen skills catch up with his ambitions, Kostya is too blind to see the catastrophe looming in the afterlife, and the one person who knows Kostya must be stopped also happens to be falling in love with him. This one sounds so intriguing. I love a unique take on the afterlife and the paranormal. Then of course we have the 3 book categories that I always put on my TBR. The first one is the longest book on my shelf. That currently is All the Colors of the Dark by Chris Whitaker at 592 pages. This was also recommended to me by my good friend Nadine for my 12 books in 12 months recommended by 12 friends challenge, and it fulfills a diverse reading challenge prompt of a character with a sensory disability. One of the main characters has only one eye, and a 25 books in 25 challenge of a book over 400 pages. This takes place in 1975, which is a time of change for America. The Vietnam War is ending, Muhammad Ali is fighting Joe Frazier, and in the small town of Montclair, Missouri, girls are disappearing. When the daughter of a wealthy family is targeted, the most unlikely hero emerges, Patch, a local boy with one eye who saves the girl, and in doing so leaves heartache in his wake. Patch and those who love him soon discover that the line between triumph and tragedy has never been finer, and that their search for answers will lead them to truths that could mean losing one another. This one got a lot of attention last year, so I am excited to have the opportunity to pick this one up. I also already had this one on my shelf. The next highest rated book in my TBR is The Parisian Spy by Hannah Byron. This is available on Kindle Unlimited, and it fulfills a 25 in 25 prompt of being self-published. Some of the self-published books on my TBR are, I don't want to say falsely rated highly, but they have significantly less ratings. So sometimes it is hard to compare them to the mainstream ones that have thousands and thousands of ratings. But it also is a nice opportunity for me to get to read some of these self-published books that I maybe don't have the opportunity to always pick up. This is the 3rd book in the Resistance Girl series. I have read the first book. It was okay. The second book was on my TBR last month. I haven't gotten to it yet, so I will be reading that one before I get to this one. So my guess is I won't truly read this one in April, but it is on my TBR for now the year. If I am still meh about The Diamond Courier, which is the second book, and The Parisian Spy, the 3rd book, then I will be stopping this series. But I do want to try to give at least these 2 books a try. The first book wasn't bad, it just didn't wow me, but I do want to give it a try. The premise does sound interesting. The Parisian Spy takes place in Paris, 1942. Within the shadows of war-torn Paris, young French-American Ocean Bell aspires to solely focus on her medical career, enrolling at Sorbonne Medical School and working as an apprentice doctor at the Hôtel de Paris hospital. She seeks solace in healing. However, destiny has other plans. When Ocean crosses paths with the charismatic French artist Jean-Jacques Rivaux, love sparks instantly. Once distant from the tumultuous currents of politics, she finds herself drawn into the maelstrom of war as her beloved Jean-Jacques joins the French resistance, ultimately falling into the hands of the Gestapo. Ocean infiltrates the sinister headquarters of the malevolent commander of the Paris Gestapo. Desperate to find her lover, she offers herself as the commander's new personal physician. I think this one also might have been on my TBR last year. I just haven't been prioritizing this series, but I do want to try it this year. Then lastly, for my Goodreads Best Books Ever Challenge, I am reading Alice in Wonderland and Through the Looking Glass by Lewis Carroll. This is available on Hoopla, and this fulfills a 52 book club prompt of being in the public domain and a pop sugar prompt of reminds me of childhood. I think most everyone knows the story of Alice in Wonderland when Alice sees a white rabbit take a watch out of its waistcoat pocket she decides to follow it, and this sets in motion a series of most unusual events. I'm so happy for a short, nostalgic read at the almost end of this TBR. I think I take back what I said at the beginning of my video that this month seemed manageable. This now is feeling like a lot. The last two books on my April TBR are books that I had to add to my TBR that I mentioned at the beginning to fulfill single monthly prompts of 2 challenges, because all the other books that were already on my TBR just blatantly did not fulfill them. The first prompt was for the Mass Center for the Book challenge, and their April prompt was to read a book about books, libraries, or bookstores, and again, none of my other books did that, so I decided to read Book Lovers by Emily Henry, which I'm so excited about. I have been really wanting to read another Emily Henry after reading Funny Story last year and not having read any other Emily Henry books, which is wild to me, and I'm sure to a lot of other people. And I already had this one on my shelf, so I love that for me too. Nora Stevens' Life is Books. She's read them all, and she's not that type of heroine. Not the plucky one, not the laid-back dream girl, and especially not the sweetheart. In fact, the only people that Nora is a heroine for are her clients, for whom she lands enormous deals as a cutthroat literary agent, and her beloved little sister Libby, which is why she agrees to go to Sunshine Falls, North Carolina for the month of August, when Libby begs her for a sister's trip away, with visions of a small town transformation for Nora, who she's convinced needs to become the heroine of her own story. But instead of picnics in meadows, or run-ins with a handsome country doctor, or bulging four-armed bartender, Nora keeps bumping into Charlie Lastra, a bookish, brooding editor from back in the city. It would be a meet cute if not for the fact that they've met many times before, and it's never been cute. If Nora knows she's not anybody's ideal heroine, Charlie is also nobody's hero. But as they're thrown together again and again in a series of coincidences that no editor worth their salt would allow, what they discover might just unravel the carefully crafted stories they've written about themselves. And lastly, I needed a book that started with the letter K. So again, unfortunately, none of the books that I chose this month started with the letter K. This is for the Books Are Life challenge. If you write out the words Books Are Life, there are 12 letters there. Each month we are starting with a book with a different letter. So the 4th letter, the 4th month is K. So I decided to use the opportunity to just take another book off my shelves. So I will be reading Kill for Me, Kill for You by Steve Kavanaugh. One dark evening in New York City's Upper West Side, 2 strangers meet by chance. Over drinks, Amanda and Wendy realize they have much in common, especially loneliness and an intense desire for revenge against the men who destroyed their families. As they talk into the night, they come up with the perfect, if you kill for me, I'll kill for you. In another part of the city, Ruth is home alone when the beautiful brownstone she shares with her husband Scott is invaded. She's attacked by a man with piercing blue eyes who disappears into the night. And that is it for April. Let me know in the comments what is on your April TBR, especially if we have any of the same. And if you're not feeling super chatty, but you just want to let me know that you were here and you watched my video, go ahead and leave me an umbrella emoji for April showers, and I will see you on my next video. Bye.